This is the Alabama News Network at 10.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Sanders. Stephanie Hicks and Glenn Halbrooks are both off tonight. This is your local news first on CBS 8 and ABC Montgomery. From Montgomery, a quick walk outside today and you easily discover that summer is here in full force, with temperatures soaring near 100 degrees for much of the state. And while for some the heat is ideal for swimming or maybe a trip to the lake, it can also be very dangerous. Reporter Ashley Thompson joins us now live from Montgomery with tonight's big story. Tonight, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Ashley McDonald. Ashley, what about it?
It's still a warm one out there in your 8-day forecast. Jeff?
All right, thanks so much, Ashley. In tonight's other news, one person is dead after a fiery crash that shut down part of Interstate 85 in Montgomery. That explosion right there happened shortly after the wreck between a car and an 18-wheeler on the northbound side of I-85 near Exit 1 near downtown. The smoke could be seen for miles. Traffic had to be diverted to the Northern Boulevard to get around the crashed scene. The driver of the truck wasn't hurt. Police are continuing to investigate what led to that crash. We now know much more about the crash that killed former Auburn football star Phillip Lutzenkirchen. The crash took place a little over a month ago in Troup County, Georgia. Georgia State Police released a report today that says alcohol was a major factor in that crash. The SUV's driver was driving at twice the legal limit. Even though he was a passenger, Georgia State Patrol say that Phillip Lutzenkirchen had a staggering blood alcohol level of 0.37. Lutzenkirchen was not wearing his seatbelt at the time of that crash. New at 10 now from the West Alabama newsroom. A former Wilcox County deputy is sentenced to prison on drug charges. Prosecutors say Gregory Barge will spend more than 7 years in prison. Barge was arrested in June of last year for attempting to possess cocaine for distribution and a gun charge after he was found transporting what he believed was cocaine while in his patrol car. CBS 8 and ABC Montgomery are taking action against crime tonight. Real estate agents say they're seeing people posing as homeowners trying to take money from unsuspecting victims. It almost left Mac McLaughlin with $800 out of his pocket. He lives in Washington State and was looking to rent in Montgomery. He says he found a home with a rent listing of $1,000 per month on Craigslist. It also asked for an $800 refundable security deposit. But when Taylor Jernigan with Keeler Williams Realty checked it out, he realized the person was not who he said he was and was not the real homeowner.
There is a way that you can combat this.
So what are some of the red flags you need to look out for when trying to rent? Jernigan says one is if the rent seems too low for a house its size. Plus, beware if the homeowner says they can't meet you. They may say something like they're out of town. And also beware if the posting says the house is ready to move in immediately. Now news from Pike County out of our Troy newsroom. 4 people are behind bars in connection with an armed robbery at a gas station in the town of Brundage. Quentin Johnson, Arliss Wilson, Thelma Davis, and a 16-year-old juvenile have been charged with first-degree robbery. It happened at the Chevron station off of U.S. Highway 231 just after 2 o'clock this morning. Police say 2 men, one masked with a shotgun, demanded that the cashier get on the floor. They got away with money and cigarettes, but police saw this red Jeep on surveillance video. Troy police later came across the car when the driver, who police say was Thelma Davis, said she had run out of gas. The 4 are also being charged with theft after 2 TVs were stolen from a local Walmart and were found in the vehicle. 6 Tuskegee University students stuck in Liberia in West Africa because of the Ebola outbreak will not have to wait now until the end of the month to return home. According to a university statement, the students will return to the U.S. in about 2 weeks. They're not expected to leave Liberia until the 17th and won't get back to the U.S. until August 18th. The 6 students were in Africa as part of a study abroad program. From the South Alabama newsroom, the Alabama Department of Public Health is investigating a possible case of meningitis at the Andalusia Regional Hospital. The patient involved died. State Health Officer Dr. Don Williamson stresses that this is an isolated case of possible meningitis and by no means is an outbreak. He says the hospital took the necessary precautions in disinfecting the building and all who may have been exposed have been treated. The department investigates between 5 and 11 cases per year of meningitis, but this case so far has not been confirmed to be meningitis. Williamson says it is normal, though, for the state to investigate in situations like this. Also from South Alabama, one rural post office is cutting its hours of operation by half. And while officials say it's needed to keep the post office open, community members are worried they will soon lose what they call the heartbeat of their town. This post office, which has been in Forest Home since the late 1800s, will now be open just 4 hours each weekday. The reduction is part of a nationwide cost-cutting measure by the U.S. Postal Service. Now the date the hours will change at the Forest Home Post Office have not been set in stone just yet, but they say they will be posted in the building once it's decided. Now, since September of 2012, hours have been reduced at 200 Alabama post offices. New at 10 from the West Alabama Newsroom, activists in Selma want August 6th to be declared National Voting Rights Day. Leaders of the Save Ourselves movement say they want this day to commemorate the signing of the Voting Rights Act back in 1965. Next year marks the 50th anniversary of the law, and they say protests are possible if parts of the law are struck down. The Supreme Court hasn't restored some of those struck down areas yet. Activist Faya Rose Toure says the new voter ID law in Alabama is essentially a new form of a poll tax used to disenfranchise blacks and poor whites. Russia is fighting back against sanctions imposed due to its involvement in the conflict in the Ukraine. We'll have the latest on the crisis there coming up on CBS 8 and ABC Montgomery. And next, we take you behind the scenes of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival to show you what it takes to put on the $1 million production of Mary Poppins.
Alabama and Auburn spent their